All right, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you are all having a wonderful Wednesday. We will wait just a couple more minutes and see if we have any folks join, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome everybody. I'm going to have our staff do quick introductions because these will be folks that you'll work with throughout the process. And then we'll go ahead and kind of do a brief overview of the role and responsibility that you have signed up for as far as a volunteer. And then we'll walk through some of the technical stuff on the EC Impact platform, which is the platform you'll use to actually enter in the evaluations. And then we'll open it up to questions to see if anybody has any questions. You'll, at the end of our presentation, will get a copy of the handbook that I go through, as well as the technology handbook, and you'll get a link to our recording today. So if you needed to go back and review something, you'll have lots of access. But I think probably most important thing to get from our training today is if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. So as our staff introduces themselves, if you could kind of share too, if folks had questions about something, like why they would reach out to you versus somebody else. So that would be great. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Jess Baraclough. I serve as the volunteer coordinator for United Way of Greater Topeka. So help with the recruitment side of things. If you have any, frankly, if you have any questions along the way, you can always reach out to me. And if I'm not the person that has the direct answer, I can get it for you. So I'm kind of that general contact person for you to connect with if you have any questions along the way. And Joyce, I'm going to kind of pass the torch to you if you want to unmute and share.
All right. I am Joyce Kotzer, Senior Director of Applications, and pretty much any questions when you're inside EC Impact. I can get you around inside there. I can help you through it, get you logged in, all of that kind of stuff.
Very good. Thank you, Joyce. Juliet.
Hello, I am Juliet McDiffit. I am the Director of Community Impact, and you can contact me with questions about EC Impact or about the RFP or any questions within the grant. So
very good. Brett.
Hey, Brett Martin, United Way of Greater Topeka. You really don't need to contact me for anything because I don't know a lot. I have a really smart team who's super skilled, in this entire process. If you have questions related to the overall process, things like about partners that we've had or why we do this or why we do that in Jackson County, I'm the lead for Jackson County, so I can help in that way, but I'm not a ton of help in EC Impact. I know just enough to not break it, which is why I'm in there very rarely. But I do have a really great team here with Jess, Joyce, and Juliet. So if you have a kind of an overall question about Jackson County or our work there or partners, why reach out to me. Otherwise, for sure, everybody else knows a lot more than I do on the call. So.
Very good. Thanks, Brett. I'm going to have Lauren and Elizabeth. I'll have you guys introduce yourself. Just name, maybe where you work, position, that kind of thing. And then we'll go ahead and dig in. So Lauren, I'm going to pick on you first.
No problem. I was ready. I'm Lauren Edelman. I'm the director of the Leadership Institute at Washburn University.
Very good. Thank you. Elizabeth?
Elizabeth Gerhart. I'm the director of nursing at Holton Community Hospital. I was with previously I was with Stormontville for the last 13 and a half years. So I'm brand new to Holton Community Hospital, but I've lived in Jackson County for about 6 years. So I'm a little Topeka, I'm a little Holton, I'm a little both.
Hey, that's okay. We like that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. And of course, we are recording the training. We have obviously quite a few volunteers that will be reviewing this per the recording. So thank you again for being here today. Thank you for helping and support Jackson County with their investment process. As you all know, we at United Way want and really pride ourselves on making sure that volunteers are a part of every process and everything that we do at United Way. And that includes the investment that we do within Jackson County as well. So we're really excited to have you all a part of this process. We are getting closer, I think, to a more traditional experience, although we're still doing our panels in Zoom. The panels look a little bit more like they normally do, just virtually, which in some ways I think is also helpful. I'm going to share my screen here and allow you all to kind of view the packet as I go through some of the important things. If you have questions, don't hesitate to put questions in the chat, and I will get to them eventually. And then, of course, we'll open it up for questions at the end. So at United Way of Greater Topeka, our aspirational statement is until the fight is won, creating and cultivating an unbreakable network for a strong, healthy, and equitable community. And this really is central to all the work that we do. And so again, we thank you for your efforts in serving and supporting our communities to help achieve that mission. Skipping through the sort of table of contents, the purpose of our investment panels is really to allow community members to invest in their community. We want to make sure that folks that live and or work in our counties are a part of that decision-making process. So it's very important to us that folks that are serving in this role either live or work in Jackson County, as these are going to be programs that support Jackson County. And so this is an opportunity for you all to help make an investment in the programs that serve your community. So kind of what the panel process looks like. Obviously, there was a recruitment process and registering for the opportunity. You'll have a profile set up in EC Impact. It's not necessarily something you have to create per se, but that's already sort of set up for you. You just have to log in. When you log in, you will sign a conflict of interest and a confidentiality form. Pretty simple. But that's going to be important to the beginning process of reviewing. After you complete that, you'll have an opportunity then to go into each program. And again, I'll walk you through this from a tech side of things, so it's not the first time you're doing it when you log in. But you'll go through and you'll basically read through each proposal, do some evaluation based on a rubric that you're given, and sort of those guidelines. And then the system is going to do all the math for you, right? So it's going to do all the scoring and all of that. You'll also get reminders from the system so that you know when things are due, and we'll follow up with you if sometimes it's just as simple as hitting the final submit button, right, is typically what happens. So we'll connect if we see anything that we have questions about. So after you review online, and again, that review online can happen at any time. So over a lunch hour, after work, whenever. The access to the online system is 24 hours. So you can do that whenever you have your own availability. I would say that it typically takes roughly 45 minutes to review a proposal. It just kind of depends too on their supporting documents, how much they put into a response to a question, but we kind of give folks this estimate of 35 to 45 minutes on average for each proposal review that you do. And then after you review those proposals on your own time, you will come to the investment panel. And those were those dates that I had sent out originally. So it's looking like the Monday or the Wednesday is the panel you'll be assigned. I'm actually going to be sending out an email after our training today to let you know which day you're assigned, although I think quite a few folks might already have a good idea of what that looks like. But you'll get a confirmation email from me. And then we will also send out links to the virtual meetings. So you'll get a link for each panel session when you get your confirmation email. Basically, what will happen in those panel discussions is you'll determine the investment based on the amount of dollars we have to invest in the community. And then those investment decisions are presented to the Jackson County Advisory Board for approval and support. And then that goes up to our board of directors for approval. And then after that, contracts are given out, and it's sort of the process of the agency then begins. So general overview of that. Some general tips for when you're reviewing the application or the proposal for their programs. You know, one thing we encourage kind of as a best practice for folks is to read through the proposal from beginning to end once without doing the evaluation. So just going through sort of each response to questions, read through everything the one time, and then open up the scoring rubric. And that gives you some context of where you might need to go within the proposal to maybe read through a section again as you are attributing a certain score to that section. And so the other thing that is great about the system is you can write notes in the system, or you can write notes outside of the system, right? So if you have a folder, a tablet or something that you want to write notes on outside of the system, but in the system itself, there is a note section that you can write notes, which is nice. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joyce and Juliet, but they, as volunteers, will have an opportunity to ask questions of the agencies in the system. Do we do that for Jackson County too?
Yes,
okay.
Correct. They'll be up in the upper left-hand corner. There'll be a button that says questions and answers, and you will be able to see what everybody has asked and what the answer was to everyone.
Yeah.
So check that out when you are in there.
Yep. And I'll show you where to do that. But that's a really great resource too for our volunteers. You know, if there's a question about a budget line or something, like how they intend to kind of do something or engage the community, you'll have that opportunity and ability to ask those questions right away. We do want you to take notes, because in the discussion process, you're going to be asked to give and share positives and negatives for each proposal that you review. And so having that written down, whether it's in the notes section in the system itself, or on a notepad, or whatever the case may be, that's going to help as you all are coming together as a group to review those program proposals. So just some guiding questions to think about as you're reviewing. How well does the program meet the requirements of the RFP? And you'll have access to the RFP documents that those agencies received, obviously the response that you're getting from the agencies, as well as some supplement documents too to support things. You want to think about how the applicant provided clear evidence that the agency has the infrastructure to support the program, to make sure it's going to be carried out successfully. And then, of course, thinking about how are they collaborating and partnering with other agencies to help support that program as well. Really thinking about this holistic response to our community needs. The scoring sheet obviously is in the system. There is a place to kind of highlight more deep, if you had a question about what they were actually hoping you would score as, it gives you kind of a rubric breakdown of like how you might actually put a number to a response. And it also gives you some information if you had questions about what they're asking you to evaluate within each part of the statement as well. All right. So for the actual panel discussion, again, we're going to have you make sure that you have the reviews completed and submitted in the program 24 hours prior to the panel. That helps us with scoring. We have some stuff that we have to do before you all do the panel in person, tabulating numbers and averages and all of that good stuff. So before getting it done, that 24 hours before the panel is going to be really important. Making sure you have your notes like we talked about, making sure that you arrive on time virtually. At the actual panel, there'll be a welcome and introductions. The chair or the individual leading will be Brett. So Brett will be the person that will lead those conversations, and he'll kind of walk you through the agenda, the ground rules, any housekeeping items or questions that you might have. And then in Jackson County, the panelists have an opportunity to do a brief presentation, and so that will be a part of that panel discussion as well. You'll go through each program proposal individually, again, having conversations about the strengths of the proposal and maybe some concerns you see within the proposal. So you'll have the ability to kind of talk about and address all of those things. We present you with some of the data, but we also ask you to kind of think about, if you had to give a priority funding to the programs you're reviewing in that category, who would be your top priority? Who would be your second priority? That doesn't necessarily mean that agencies get more or less funding. It's just a way for you to kind of narrow that focus as you're having the conversation. And then there'll be basically an investment decision. The panel will have a conversation of how they invest dollars. And so there'll be a proposal from a panel volunteer that would be given. I intend to fund organization A at $5,000 and organization B at $3,000. And then the panel will have an opportunity to have some conversations and talk about, do we like that funding proposal? Or do we feel like maybe we need to make some changes to that funding proposal? And then what we do is we kind of go into this, what we call 5-finger consensus. And it's our way of building consensus in the meeting. And all of this will be reviewed at the actual panel discussion as well. But if when that proposal is created by a volunteer, Brett will go through and he'll ask the group for 5-finger consensus. 5 is strongly agree, 4 is agree, 3 is I can see positives and negatives, but am willing to go with the decision. 2 is I disagree, and 1 is I strongly disagree. And so based on a given round of consensus building sort of dictates whether or not the motion passes or that the motion would come back and there would be further discussion. And so again, Brett is there to guide this process. It's not necessarily something you need to remember what everything means at any given point. He's going to help you throughout that process. But that recommendation for funding comes from you all as the volunteers. That is not something staff will do. Again, most important thing is contact. If you have questions along the way, please know that we are here to help support you. If it's questions about a program proposal, Juliet's going to be probably your best person. If it's a like technology question, Joyce is going to be your best person. Again, I'm always available to answer any questions that you have. Our contact information will be in the packet as well. So if you have questions, I know for me, email is probably the best way to get me. Sometimes if I'm in another meeting, I can't always take a call, but sometimes I can respond to a quick question for email. But again, my office number and my cell number is present in the packet as well. Okay, so before I go into kind of walking through EC Impact and the tech side of things, does anybody have any questions about the process? All righty, Brett, Juliet, Joyce, anything you would want to add before I go to the EC Impact stuff? Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then I'm going to share my screen again. All righty, so you will get an email from the system that basically walks you through how to sign in and just general information. And that will come from EC Impact. So one thing I would encourage folks to do is check your spam or your junk folder. Sometimes system emails go there. So if you haven't gotten something, Joyce, the first email is going out today, is that right? Okay, so if you don't get an email from us today, from the system today, send us an email so that we can make sure that we troubleshoot and get you taken care of. When you log in, and the email you'll get will walk you through logging in. It will walk you through your login information, your password that you need to put in. When you log in, this is what you're going to see. So if you haven't logged into the system in a while, it's going to actually pull up a prompt that forces you to do the conflict of interest first, but also know that your profile information is going to be this top box right here. So if you wanted to update account information, demographics, again, that conflict of interest, if you need to do any updating there, that's where all of your sort of personal profile information is going to be, this top box right here. Then you see more stuff in mine because I just do lots of trainings. And so I have access to lots of different evaluations. But what you'll see in this evaluations box is the program proposals that you are assigned specifically for the Jackson County investment panels. And so you'll just want to look for community impact 2022-24 Jackson County basic needs investment. Make sure that, especially for volunteers that have volunteered in the past, you want to look for that 2022-24 panel investment for Jackson County. Those are going to be the ones that we're going to have you evaluate for this evaluation process. So if you click on that, it's going to pull up what you have access to for review. I have kind of a little bit in my system of each area. So if you are assigned the Monday panel, you will be evaluating the healthcare and prescription proposals as well as the rent and utility proposals. There are 4 proposals for evaluation with those. If you are assigned the Wednesday panel, you will be evaluating the food request for proposals, and there are 3 in that single category, just so that you kind of have an idea. So this top bar right here is going to be your where you are in the process, so you can kind of see. So if it doesn't say submitted at the end, you didn't hit the final submit button. So you just want to make sure it always is final submit. Okay. And of course, lots of opportunities to click. Most of them take you kind of to the same page. But so if I just look at Catholic Charities as an example, this is going to take you to information about the organization itself. So Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas, information about the agency, background overview, vision statement, mission statement, it's going to respond to the questions that we asked in that RFP and that proposal. So their capability and resources to carry out, program information and request, who would be a contact, kind of a brief description, what they're requesting for funding, goal statements, activity statements. We are shifting all of our investment panels to an outcome-based model. And so we're really asking, in that logic model, we're asking for folks to think about what are the outcomes of the program. So there's going to be some of that information as well. So what inputs do you have in regards to the program? What outputs do you expect in regards to the program? And some information about that. And then of course, a budget proposal. How do they plan to use the funding? What other funding resources do they have available to support the program? What do those dollars go to support? And we give them an opportunity to also explain some of that budget narrative as well. I had the evaluation open, but this little pink button that you see right here, you can actually close it. And then when you want to open it back up, you just open that back up. But this is your rubric scoring. So each box right here, you would have the opportunity to add numbers. If you hover over any of the question mark icons, like here, goal statement. So if I hover over that, it actually gives you some context to that. And so this is a great way for you to kind of think about how you score, what numbers you score, exceeds, meets, below. Exceeds is a 5, meets is a 3, below is a 1. And this is what we are encouraging you to put in these boxes. So an exceeds, a meets, or below. And then it will add up the total for you. You can save work at any time, right? So if you wanted to, I would say best practice is to try to complete one proposal before you necessarily step away, especially if you have to step away and do other things. Otherwise, you're, in the middle of the process, you're coming back and you kind of have to start over. So, we kind of encourage folks to maybe do one program at a time. If you need to break them up a little bit, that's fine. But try to complete one agency and try not to step away if you can help that. But you can always save work. So it would save my work. And then it shows an in progress. And then of course, to finalize your work, you would hit mark as complete. Some other things. So we talked about the asking questions. So on the upper part of your right-hand screen, there are a couple of clickable links that you can look at for more information. So the first thing I want to highlight are these supporting documents. So if you click on supporting documents, it's going to give you other information, documentation that we request. So their board of directors, an audit or financial review. I will also share that we have volunteers that evaluate organizations from a fiscal standpoint as well. So they're going to give you a qualified or unqualified basically statement saying that these agencies from accounting fiscal standpoint look like they are fiscally sound to be able to run a program. Obviously, we don't want to invest dollars in an agency that might fold. And not that, frankly, any of the agencies that have requested funds are in that state of mind, but just know that we also have external reviewers for financial information as well. But 990 information, current non-discrimination policies or equal opportunity statements, IRS information, again, that diversity, equity, inclusion statement, if they have that, we're asking for folks to add some of that extra documentation. So, and again, that's right here, the supporting documents. And I could show here as well, actually, it's probably not going to show. When you click on those things, it will open up in a new window browser for you. So this is that ask questions box, which is really nice. So if you wanted to ask a question to the agency itself, you could do that. So, maybe it's a budget question. You have a question about how much money they're putting towards something, or you don't feel like the numbers quite add up right. So you could put budget in the subject line and then the question, I don't know. Tell me more about compensation, and then hit save work. And what will happen is that budget goes out, or that question will go out to the agencies. It also goes to Juliet and Joyce and I. And so we can help maybe respond to some of those questions too. But this is a nice way to, as I think often too, sometimes if you have like multiple volunteers might have the same question, right? So you'll be able to see any question that is asked, and then of course they'll have the opportunity to respond to that as well. Let's see. If
Jessica,
you,
at the top, there's also, you can see previously submitted information and view compliance documents, which are somewhat the same as the supported documents.
sure. Also
But there's
some back
that
information,
opportunity.
yeah. Very good. If you, this bar up here as well is also a navigation tool, right? So you could go back to compliance documents. You could go back to the general RFP. You could go back to agency, right? What you'll see here is for each category that you're reviewing, you'll see the programs that you need to review. So that gives you an opportunity to kind of look at the organization as well as the program proposal that they've submitted. Anything else, Joyce, that I missed? Juliet, anything that you would say? Okay. All right. You will also receive a PDF that has some screenshots of the EC Impact system too. So it'll be a paper or online reference for you as well. But again, if you do have questions about the technology, don't hesitate to connect with us. We don't mind, and we get everything from what is my password again to something's not opening up. And we appreciate those comments, because every once in a while the system, we push the buttons we're supposed to push, but you know, whatever, computer and technology can sometimes not work like we always intend. So usually we can fix it. You know, if you're not seeing a note box or something like that, let us know and we'll make sure that that gets into the system. Shouldn't be a problem. We try to do all our double checks and all of that, but you know, whatever, every once in a while, technology is technology. So any questions that you all have? Brett, Juliet, Joyce, any other comments that you would want to share with volunteers before we close for the day?
No, just want to say thanks for volunteering to do this. This is key to our work. So one of the things we say to the community over and over and over again is we don't make these decisions, because we don't. And so we want to thank you for your time. We recognize that it's a time commitment, both during the panel, but also before the panel. But we certainly appreciate your participation in this process. And again, there's a great team on this screen of folks who are here to help in any way. So any question is on the table, and please reach out to ask them. So, and Jess, thanks so much for all the work on the training docs and all the work on the training here, getting folks ready, getting folks recruited. I appreciate that a great deal. Absolutely.
Any other questions? Awesome. Well, again, like Brett said, we really do appreciate your time. I will be sending out some of that confirmation information emails out to you this afternoon. So just look for those. Again, if you don't, check your junk folder or spam folder. If you don't notice an email from EC Impact that comes directly to you. And if you check that and it's not there, just email us. We'll figure it out. Sometimes security systems have security, and
Yes.
they get cranky with online systems, but I promise EC Impact is not trying to hack anything. So we will get that information figured out and set up for you for sure.
Yes. And it's scheduled to go out, I think, 1:15. So if you don't get it by 1:30, let me know.
Perfect. Perfect. Very good. Awesome. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy the nice warm weather before the rain. I think we're supposed to get some rain here in the next couple of days, but hey, 70 degrees, I'll take it. I'm going to go for a walk. So soak up some of those sun rays and vitamin D. So awesome. Well, thank you again. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And you'll be connecting with Brett virtually for that panel discussion here in, I don't know, 10 to 15 days, something in there. So, all righty. Well, have a great day.
So much.